A public domain work is any work that isn't owned, i.e. copyrighted, by a group, an individual or a corporation, or even in some cases a government body. So that basically anything that nobody owns a copyright to is in the public domain. Now, public domain works can be used for anything. Now, Frankenstein, that's in the public domain. You can create a book from it, a movie, whatever you want to it. Cinderella, that's in the public domain. The works of Mozart, that's in the public domain. You can record the works of Mozart. You can publish the sheet music, etc., etc. So, you can see you can do anything you want with public domain materials. It's up to you what you do with it. If you publish it as is, you may not copyright it because it's in the public domain. If you edit it, then you can copyright it because it becomes your work, but only if you edit it. Now, you're going to have to really look into the rules. It's all a bit vague, but you need to edit it a bit more than just writing, a couple of paragraphs after each chapter in a book, for example. You need to do a little bit more significant editing. If you just added a little bit to try and make it yours, then you're going to struggle to get that through sort of as a unique work. So think about that. But every single country has different rules on public domain. Now, it is worth checking what is in the public domain in your country. Now, whichever country you're in, you're likely to have what's called a copyright office. Most countries will have one. All you need to do is phone them up, go in and visit, write to them, whatever, and ask them what the copyright rules are. It varies from country to country as to what is and what isn't, so you need to be aware of that. But what we're going to focus on in this video is the rules in the USA, as many of us may not be in the USA, but much of our target market is in the USA. However, do focus on a local country if that's relevant to you. Now, any work that's published before 1923 is definitely in the public domain. Absolutely, it's copyright free. You can do what you like with it. Now, anything published between 1923 and 1989 are copyrighted protected, but only if they completed the copyright registration. So that means they've had to go and apply physically for copyright. Now, that's a long time. That's, what's that, 60 years, 65 years, 66 years. So there's a lot of works produced in there. Think about it. The works of the Beatles are in that time frame. Elvis Presley, the speeches of Winston Churchill, for example, and so on and so forth. So, there's millions of works published between that time that may be in the public domain. Now, the way to check if something's in the public domain is get the Library of Congress number, whatever it might be, contact the Copyright Office and ask them if it has been renewed or not. They'll be able to give you the definitive answer. Now, ideally, you want it in writing from them, because then if there's a legal case further along the lines for any reason, you're covered. Now, anything that was created after 1989 is copyrighted by default unless it has been specifically distributed in the public domain, in which case it will tell you that it's in the public domain. I personally wouldn't touch anything after 89 unless it does say this is in the public domain in big letters at the bottom of it. You've just got to be safe. You've got to be sure that, you don't want to take someone's work and think, great, fantastic, I love this work, I'm gonna publish it, and then realise that the copyright's still owned on it, get sued to pieces and lose everything. It can get really, really nasty. You know what people are like with copyright. Now, if the works that you're looking at are between 1923 and 1989, you do have to research. As I said, the Copyright Office will be able to tell you if it's been renewed or registered, and if it hasn't, it's in the public domain, and you can go, woohoo, I found a moneymaker. As I said, there's a potential gold mine of opportunity. Think about it. Think about how many millions of works there are between 23 and 1989. I mean, awful lot. But before that, there's hundreds and hundreds of works, thousands, millions even of works as well that you can potentially use to earn money from. Think about it. People like to have nice pictures of maps on their wall. You could go and find a map from the 1700s of the county, the state, the country that someone lives in, and sell it to them. Put it in a nice frame, print it nicely. You can charge a couple of $100s for it. There are millions and millions of works in the public domain that you could profit from. So, you know, the potential here is huge. Now, here's an interesting statistic for you. Approximately 87% of all works between 1923 and 1963 are in the public domain because copyright wasn't renewed. So that's what, 40 years, there's only 13% of works were copyrighted and renewed. So, you know, there's a massive amount of material there that's in the public domain. All you need to do is do your research and find out if it actually is. So potential, massive, absolutely massive for you. So now you have an understanding of what's in the public domain. It's always worth, if you've got any doubts, check with the Copyright Office and make 100% sure. I said there's lots and lots of stuff that definitely is, but if you're not quite sure, check. You must do this because otherwise you could find yourself in legal hot water, which of course is the last thing that you want.